I see we've got like a longtime Recruiter U client, Chuck Hole, who is off to, if you want to unmute Chuck, I was told by some of the coaches, you're off to your best start ever.
That's correct. 2023 is the best that I've been in business since 2000, and I went back 6, 7, 8 years. I didn't go back entirely, but I would maybe even say since 2000 when I started, this may be the best first 2 months ever.
And I apologize, Chuck. So before, what I like to do, we'll have one every day, is how they applied, to make it real for you guys, how they applied certain mindset principles to get out of their own way. You know, you're hearing from me and Francis, and you'll hear from some of the other coaches on some of the training, but in the real world, what are some things that you can take, like, for example, from Chuck, where he applied these principles that you can take back to your desk or your company and apply those principles? You know, Chuck, you and I've met in person, I believe, a couple of times. And when we first met, you had a lot of stinking thinking is probably the best way to put it.
Oh yeah, I sounded a lot like Tina, I think. Tina, and not to pick on Tina, but I could identify with what she's sharing, absolutely.
So talk about where you were and then the things you put in place mentally to cross that bridge over.
Well, I looked at the email that you wanted me to address, and it's tricky to just identify a couple of things. There's so many other things that I still look to do. And with Francis being here, Francis is my mindset coach. And I thought about when I was participating in the program a year ago before joining. And I remember Herbert Hess, who's 84, maybe I think he turned 85 this month. He was dynamic and energetic. And I thought, man, that's who I want to be. I'm not looking to retire to the beach. I want to be productive. I want to add value still. And I have this vision of being able to do it till I'm 85. I'm a gray beard now, but I thought, man, I can't keep doing this the way I'm doing it. I need help. And that's what is the mindset was a different piece. I'd been a part of Mike's program like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I think Mike with the double your placement thing. Yeah. And I look back at that and I had a better year than I had previous years. And maybe I should go back and look at what they're doing. And then when I heard about the mindset piece, I thought, that's the part I need, is I really need to change my thinking. As you said, it's stinking thinking. And the program, the network of community, one of the great things that's happening right now that's really helping me is I've got 2 people that are in our group outside of the Recruiter U. We're doing a daily power hour every morning. There's 3 of us. And that was because one of my strategy coaches suggested reaching out to someone and saying, hey, what do you like about is there someone that would do that with you? And I happened to find one. We mentioned it in our weekly call, and another person says, hey, can I join your power hour? And we're like, yeah, sure. The more, the merrier. So it's a number of things that have helped. And
let me ask you, what were your challenge mentally when it came to business development? And then what are your new beliefs that govern that allowed for kind of this phenomenal start you've had in 2023?
For one, just thinking, and I don't know if you guys have covered this, but thinking, oh, no one in this space is doing a deposit. There's no one that I'm not going to get money up front to do this. And so one of my best client right now is a company that a year ago was a contingency client in my niche. And through some guidance, and even with my strategy coach, I got some help along the way. They went through a hiring freeze. I've taken, and now they're paying me upfront money to do searches. And I'm following the process. When I described the process, it's not a pitch. It's, hey, here's how I can help you folks. If you're having trouble finding people, here's how I can, even though I'm not worked in this space, I can help you. I had a call this morning with a new potential client through my outsourcing firm that I'm using because I joined Recruiter U. I had a call this morning, and I don't know yet if they're going to work with me on this, but when I described, you're working with contingencies and it's not helping you fill this position. It's been open for about a year, you're telling me. I think maybe it's time that you try another approach. And when I talked about the approach, he said, that sounds interesting. I need to talk with some other folks. Can we have another conversation? I don't think I wouldn't have been working with an outsourcing firm a year ago. I wouldn't have been having these conversations. So my outlook is, I feel like a new person, and the network within the network. Like I said, this power hour daily, talking with the guy that the 85-year-old, when I was in a small group session with him, I told him, I said, you're the reason I joined the Recruiter U. And he said, really? So he looked me up and he called me that day and we talked, and I still talk periodically with him to just compare notes and what's working. We were in a small group session yesterday and he said, man, that's a great idea what you're doing with those power hours. He goes, I need to incorporate that into my business. So it's, like I said, it's a number of things. And the great thing is there's all these other things. I can still see steps upward to where I still hope and want to do and desire to continue growing.
Chuck, I just have to say your enthusiasm, it's so contagious. I so enjoy coaching you. And I remember when, as related to money mindset, you've said some very practical things. I remember it was very much the energy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was energy of guilt, shame, not good enough. And I specifically remember us digging out on the money mindset, that kind of like money's the root of all evil kind of belief pattern that we can, yeah, I see you nodding. Yeah. And it was like, once we unlock that, because those things were so isolating, it was very isolating. You had this vision of growing older and deteriorating. And it was recruiting had become very isolating. So I just really appreciate the things that you've shared, the very practical shifts. Once you saw that, you couldn't unsee it. So every month it's okay. Here's a thing, let's work on retainers. I'm called to do retainers. And we dug that out. And then you went from X% retainer to now, I'm not going to give you specific, if you want to give specific numbers, but right now you're at this level of retainers. And the same with the accountability, going from feeling not good enough to embracing the community and the accountability and growth and learning. And it's just been a really beautiful process. And thanks for sharing with everyone.
And I would also say a thing that's helpful, if you're doubting or thinking, man, I don't want a coach that's going to jump on my case. Sometimes I feel like I need somebody to jump on my case. And the great thing has been just seeing my challenges from a different perspective and someone saying, hey, you could try this or try that. And it's not like I'm trying everything. There are things I think, oh man, I still want to do that. I still want to try this. Or I still want to try that. And I'm seeing, like I said, before I started, I wanted to be a better recruiter. I had good years and I wanted to strengthen that. And after being in the program a year, I'm getting ready to start my second year. I can unequivocally say I'm a better recruiter and I'm helping my clients, I'm helping candidates, and it pays well too. Those are all positives.
I like it pays well. And just a couple of references in case you weren't here yesterday when I talked about the power hour. The power hour is, we've done this with our clients, is you show up with a list of calls, and I imagine this is what you're doing with Chuck, with your partners, and you probably just mute yourself on Zoom. You're right in the background.
Yes.
We would throw 50, 60 clients on a group, and we would just measure the results. And in ours, they take about 45 minutes because of the wind up and the wind down. And it's in the low 20s every time, with average number of outbound calls and an average number of about 3.9 conversations in 45 minutes. So for all the people that are like, oh, nobody picks up the phone anymore. Again, we've done this for a couple of years now, every few months. It's bullshit. When people don't pick up the phone when you make 3 outbound calls a day, because it just takes longer. And he references Herbert, our client, who's been an inspiration to me too, Chuck, in that 84, like you said, I think he just turned 85. Yeah. Went from 30 years of recruiting, a plateau of 150 to 200,000 in revenue. I think he finished last year at 700,000. And one of the big things, just like from a tip standpoint for all of you, was get him stopping doing his own research. That was the one thing where he cleared the deck, where it gave him hours back every day to work in his genius zone, which was getting clients and getting candidates, which I believe is most of our genius zone. What do you believe now versus what did you believe about when you start to reach out to contact people for market? What's that energy? What was that shift for you?
I believe I can help them. I look at it as I can help solve problems for them. I don't look at it as I'm an interruption to their day. I look at it as, hey, you need my help, let me help you. And it's not all of them. It's like you said, it's either yes or no, not yet. Or if they say no, or if they're rude, who cares? It's just, no, not today, but down the road. There's so many, gosh, and there's things I still it's not like I've incorporated everything I've learned. It's, oh my gosh, I still want to do this and that. And I had a call with another outsourcing group this morning, and I'm still overcoming mental hurdles, but it's great growing. That's what I think.
I love what you said is, I now believe I'm there to help. I want to make sure everyone heard that.
Yeah.
That is a huge shift, because when you go in, which I went in early in my career, I'm bothering, then you're apologetic, like in your voice. Hey, Chuck, just wanted a call, and versus, hey, I'm here to help. When you're here to help, it's a whole other energy. And again, even when you're there to help, you're going to hear no 11 out of 12 times in a cold market, not with your existing clients. But Chuck, Francis, anything that I haven't asked, or Chuck, anything that you wanted to emphasize that maybe I didn't ask about? Or a couple tips to leave everyone with?
I was not a metrics guy. Some people are metrics people, and the numbers don't lie. It's great having that support of knowing, okay, the metrics are just facts, and they just help you. That's just one of the things. Like I said, having mindset's really important. The mindset piece with Francis or your coaches, it all works together. It just builds, and there's a level of trust. I'm still learning. Francis would still say, our last call, I'm still learning and building more and more trust in the process, in my system. But the metrics are really another helpful thing. I'm not a metrics guy. I had a call this morning with a friend of mine. I said, hey, maybe the recruiter, maybe you should try looking into it. And she's still, oh, I'd have to work harder. I'm like, no, that's not the goal. It's not to work harder. It's to leverage your time so you don't have to work harder and still do better. But who knows? I'm still working on her because she's a good friend. I want her to enjoy the business again.
I think too, when some people look at investing in themselves, they'll come up with reasons like that so they don't have to face themselves. I have the story that I'm going to have to work harder, and that way I don't have to, because if she's not starving, depending on, everyone has different levels in their subconscious mind. Remember, your subconscious mind is there to protect. So after we talk about the program, say on Thursday, and a lot of people you're going to notice your mental money freak out mode. And I don't have the time to, which is all BS. Francis, anything in closing, anything you want to ask or add?
Yeah, when you asked that, I was like intuitively going to take him to a place of metrics, because that was another very practical shift. And I think we're doing metrics tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow, but that's a big one, where when you have blocks in your money mindset, the subconscious mind wants to resist the things that can help you grow and change, even very simple things like tracking your metrics. Chuck, it is a joy to coach you. Thank you so much for sharing with everyone. It's really fun to watch growth and change and just get to be a small piece of the puzzle. So thanks.
I appreciate the program. It's made a tremendous difference in the past year of my business, and it impacts personal life too. Absolutely. They go together.
Yes, we do very holistic there. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chuck.